Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes life hits you so hard, it feels like the ground beneath you disappears. One moment, you're standing tall, full of dreams, and the next, you're questioning everything, who you are, what you are capable of, whether you will ever be whole again. This speech is for the one who feels broken, for the one who gave their best and still ended up misunderstood, unappreciated, or left behind, for the one who looks in the mirror and sees someone unfamiliar, someone tired. I want you to pause just for a moment, breathe, and remember, you are not always this lost. The voice you silence inside is the only one that ever truly knew your worth. It was there before the world got loud, before people began telling you what you should be, how you should act, who you must become. It was there when you were a child and dreamed fearlessly, when you said you wanted to be something wild, something impossible, and you meant it. That voice never questioned your capacity to rise, but somewhere along the way, you stopped listening. Maybe it was the criticism from someone you looked up to. Maybe it was one too many failures that left you embarrassed. Or maybe it was just the slow drip of comparison, scrolling, watching, wishing, until one day that voice inside you felt too naive, too soft, too foolish. So you shut it down, you called it unrealistic, you replaced it with logic, noise, distractions. You told yourself to be practical, to stop dreaming, to grow up. But here is what nobody tells you: the world does not get quieter, the opinions do not stop, the judgments only get louder. And if you cannot hear your own voice beneath them, you'll end up building a life that looks good but feels empty. You'll have the degree, the job, the praise, and still feel like a stranger to yourself, because the foundation you built it on was never yours. That inner voice, it is not some poetic idea. It is your compass, your wisdom. It remembers your values when you forget them. It reminds you of your limits when you are about to burn out. It shows you what feels right before logic catches up. And every time you ignore it, it does not get angry, it just gets quieter. But here is the truth: it never leaves. It waits even now in your worst season. It's still there, waiting for you to come home, and you do not need a perfect moment to return to it. You just need a pause, a breath, a question. What do I truly feel? That's it, that's the beginning. The moment you start trusting that voice again, life begins to shift. Not all at once, not with fireworks, but with quiet knowing, with a sense of alignment, with a kind of peace you forgot you could feel. Yes, the world will still doubt you. People will still misunderstand, but when you're anchored in your own voice, their noise cannot shake you. You'll still stumble, still get hurt, but you'll rise faster, heal deeper, move truer, and know your voice will not always be right. But it will always be honest. There is something sacred about being able to say, I know myself, not because someone told you who you are, not because you followed a trend or fit a mold, but because you sat with yourself, listened, and honored what you heard. Because you let that small voice grow loud again. So ask yourself, who am I without the noise? What do I want when no one is watching? What would my life look like if I trusted myself fully again? Your voice already knows. It has always known. It is time you listened. You cannot rebuild your life with hands full of guilt and regret. Guilt is the silent thief of peace, creeping into your heart when you make mistakes, when you hurt others, or when you simply don't live up to the expectations you set for yourself. But here's the thing: guilt is not meant to be your constant companion. Regret is not meant to weigh you down forever. These emotions are signals, yes, but they should never control your life. When you make a mistake, and you will, just like all of us, guilt may show up. It might try to convince you that you are worthless, that you cannot change, that you don't deserve to move forward. But if you let guilt stay too long, it becomes something heavier, something more dangerous: regret. And regret doesn't just come from our actions. It comes from the time we waste by not forgiving ourselves, by holding on to the past. Imagine if a builder never allowed themselves to remove a cracked brick from the foundation of a building. If they allowed that broken piece to remain, thinking that they could somehow build around it, what would happen? The structure would never be as solid as it could be. Over time, that crack would weaken the whole foundation, and the building would collapse. Guilt and regret are like those cracks in your life's foundation. They prevent you from moving forward. They keep you stuck in places where you don't belong anymore. You have to learn to let go of the past. The actions you regret, the words you can't take back, the chances you missed, the mistakes you made, they don't define you. They are simply experiences. You have to remember that your worth is not measured by your past actions. Your value is not determined by the things you wish you could undo. You can't change what happened, but you can change how you allow it to affect your future. We are all human. We all make mistakes, big and small. But to move forward, you must release yourself from the weight of these errors. Holding onto guilt is like clutching a heavy rock in your hand. The longer you hold it, the more your hand begins to ache. You don't need to hold onto guilt in order to learn from your mistakes. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about acknowledging what happened, feeling what you need to feel, and then deciding to move on. Only then can you begin to rebuild. When you don't let go of guilt and regret, you carry that emotional baggage with you everywhere you go. It starts to affect your relationships. It affects your ability to trust, not just others, but yourself. It stops you from making new decisions and trying new things. It tells you that you are not good enough. But you are good enough. You are worthy of change. You are worthy of growth. And you are worthy of forgiveness, both from others and from yourself. Forgiving yourself is the hardest part of healing. It's easy to forgive others, but when it comes to our own mistakes, we can be our harshest critics. But if you keep punishing yourself, how will you ever move forward? How will you ever see the beauty in new beginnings? How will you ever see your potential? Your mistakes are part of your story, but they are not the whole story. You are not defined by the moments you regret, but by how you choose to rise above them. It's easy to look back and wish things had gone differently, but those thoughts do nothing to change the present. What matters now is what you do with what you've learned. What matters is the wisdom you gain from the struggles, the strength you build from the pain. When you stop carrying guilt and regret, you create space for hope, for joy, for growth. You allow yourself to dream again, to set new goals, to live a life that is aligned with your true self. You deserve to move forward. You deserve to leave behind the things that weigh you down. So, take a moment. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the regret. Forgive yourself, and then, with an open heart, begin to rebuild. Not just your life, but your confidence, your trust in yourself, and your belief that the best is still ahead of you. Trust is not found, it is remembered. There is this misconception that trust is something you have to search for, something you have to earn or prove. People spend years in relationships, both personal and professional, trying to gain trust, trying to be worthy of it. But the truth is, trust isn't something you find. It's something you remember. Deep inside, it's always been there, buried beneath the doubts and the fears. Think about it as children, we trust naturally. We trust without thinking, without hesitation. We trust our parents to protect us, our teachers to guide us, and our friends to be there when we need them. We don't question the safety of our environment, we just trust, but then life happens. We experience disappointment. We experience betrayal. We learn that people can lie, break promises, or disappear. And with each experience, that natural, unquestioning trust starts to fade. We begin to build walls to protect ourselves, and in doing so, we lock away that trusting nature. As adults, we become skeptical. We question motives, we look for the catch in every offer, the hidden agenda in every gesture. We feel the need to constantly analyze, to constantly second guess. And it's exhausting. But here's the thing, we don't have to find trust again. We just have to remember it. It's still there inside us, beneath the layers of doubt and caution. To trust again, we need to reconnect with that version of ourselves that didn't second guess every choice, every interaction, every decision. We need to remember the times in our lives when we trusted freely, and we need to understand that trusting again isn't about being naive or letting our guard down to the point of vulnerability. Trusting again is about finding balance, knowing when to open your heart and when to protect it. Trust isn't about putting blind faith in others, it's about having faith in yourself. Trusting yourself to know when to speak, when to act, and when to walk away. When you trust yourself, you stop overthinking every situation. You stop searching for approval and start listening to your instincts. You understand that your decisions are based on your experiences, your values, and your understanding of the world. You don't need anyone else to validate your choices because you trust yourself enough to know that you are capable of making the right decision for you. Trusting yourself is a process, though. It's not instantaneous and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to rebuild that sense of self-assurance. It takes time to quiet the noise around you and listen to your inner voice. But it's a process worth starting, because once you trust yourself, you will find that you can trust others again, too. You'll learn to trust not because of someone else's actions, but because of your own judgment. You'll know when to give someone the benefit of the doubt and when to trust your gut feeling to walk away. Trust is not something you can force. It's something that grows organically when you're open to it. When you allow yourself to remember that part of you that believed in the goodness of others and the beauty of connection. It doesn't mean you're blind to the flaws or mistakes of others. It doesn't mean you're always right or that people won't disappoint you. What it means is that you believe in the possibility of goodness, despite everything you've been through. It means you allow yourself to love and care, even when the world has given you reasons not to. Sometimes the hardest person to trust is yourself. You doubt your decisions second, guess your actions, and wonder if you're ever doing the right thing. But remember this. Trusting yourself doesn't mean you'll never make mistakes. It means you trust yourself enough to handle them when they happen. It means you have the strength to own up to your faults and learn from them, rather than letting them define you. As you continue on your journey, remember that trust isn't lost, it's remembered. It's buried deep within you, waiting to be rediscovered. Trusting yourself is the first step in reclaiming the life you deserve. And once you trust yourself again, you will find that trusting others becomes easier, too. You won't be afraid to take chances, to open your heart, and to believe in the people around you. You'll understand that trust is a risk worth taking, and with each step, you'll move closer to the life you've always dreamed of. Doubt screams, but truth whispers. Listen carefully. In a world full of noise, confusion, and chaos, it can be difficult to differentiate between the loud, persistent voice of doubt and the quiet, steady voice of truth. Doubt tends to be the loudest in our heads. It's the one that questions everything, that second, guesses every decision, and that tells us we're not enough. It's the voice that picks apart our dreams, making them seem impossible, our actions inadequate, and our progress insignificant. Doubt is overwhelming, and it is easy to give in to it. It can be paralyzing, forcing us to sit still, unsure, fearful of moving forward. But truth is different. Truth doesn't yell. It doesn't demand attention or force its way into your thoughts. Truth simply exists. It's quiet but powerful, subtle but strong. Truth doesn't try to convince you of anything. It doesn't need to. It just is, and it's often so quiet that, unless we stop and listen closely, we can easily miss it. We're often told that our doubts are a sign that something is wrong. We're taught to listen to the doubts in our minds because they feel like caution, like protection. But what if the doubts are just distractions? What if they're just the noise that clouds our ability to hear the truth? What if the doubts are actually the very things keeping us from our true path. Doubt often comes from the outside world, from the expectations of others, from comparisons, from society's definitions of success. We doubt ourselves because we're told we should be something else, something more, something different. But truth doesn't care about the expectations of the world. Truth cares about who you are, deep inside, away from all the noise. Truth is rooted in your heart, in your values, in your instincts. It's the quiet knowing that you're capable of more than you give yourself credit for. Truth isn't concerned with how many mistakes you've made. It sees beyond that. It recognizes your potential, not your failures. The challenge is in learning to listen to that quiet truth. The world we live in is loud. It demands attention at every turn, from social media, notifications to news headlines to the constant pressure of productivity. It's easy to get caught up in the noise. It's easy to listen to doubt because doubt is the loudest thing in your head. But if you truly want to find peace, if you truly want to live a life aligned with who you are, you must learn to quiet the noise. You must stop, take a deep breath and listen. Listening to the truth requires trust. It requires trust in yourself, in your instincts, and in your ability to know what's best for you. It means trusting that even though doubt is loud and persistent, truth is always there, waiting for you to hear it. Truth doesn't judge, it doesn't question, it doesn't make you feel small, it simply guides you, but to hear it, you must silence the doubts. You must turn down the volume of the world and listen to the whispers of your own heart. Sometimes truth will challenge you. Sometimes it will make you uncomfortable. It will push you to grow, to take risks, and to face the things you've been avoiding. Truth doesn't sugarcoat things. It tells you exactly what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that's why so many people are afraid of it. It's easier to stay in the noise, in the doubts, because they feel safe. Doubt keeps you in your comfort zone, even if it's a painful one. Truth, on the other hand, asks you to step out, to face your fears, and to trust that you are strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. When you start listening to the truth, you'll find that it's not as hard as you thought it would be. You'll start to recognize it in the quiet moments, in the stillness between your thoughts. It might come in the form of a gut feeling, an intuitive knowing, or a deep sense of clarity. It's not something you have to chase or force. It's already inside you, waiting to be acknowledged. The key is to stop letting the doubts drown out the truth. Stop letting the loudness of fear and uncertainty convince you that you can't move forward. Trust that the truth, no matter how quiet, is your guide. And when you follow it, you'll find the strength to overcome any obstacle, to push through any challenge, and to live a life that is true to who you are. It won't always be easy, and it won't always be comfortable, but it will always be worth it. The moment you stopped trusting yourself was the moment you believed a lie. Trusting yourself is not about perfection. It's about believing that you have the strength, wisdom, and resilience to face whatever comes your way. But somewhere along the way, most of us start doubting ourselves. We begin to listen to the negative voices, the ones that tell us we are not good enough, not capable enough, or not worthy enough. And slowly, that trust we once had in ourselves begins to fade. The problem is that when we stop trusting ourselves, we stop trusting our ability to make decisions, to take risks, and to create the life we want. The moment you stopped trusting yourself, you gave up on your own potential. You believed the lie that you needed someone else to validate you, that you couldn't handle things on your own. But the truth is, you've always had everything you need within you. You've always had the strength to get through the toughest times, the wisdom to make the right choices, and the resilience to bounce back from failure. But when you start to believe the lie that you can't trust yourself, you give away your power. You let others dictate your decisions, you start doubting your own judgment, and you become a passenger in your own life rather than the driver. It's easy to believe the lie that you need external validation to feel worthy. We live in a world where approval from others often feels like a measure of success. Social media bombards us with images of perfection, making us feel like we're not enough. We measure our worth by the number of likes, comments, or followers we have, and we begin to base our self-worth on external factors that are beyond our control. But when you stop trusting yourself, you start seeking validation from others instead of finding it within yourself. You look to others to tell you what to do, what to say, and how to be, and in doing so, you lose sight of who you truly are and what you are truly capable of. The lie that you can't trust yourself also shows up in the way you respond to failure. When you don't trust yourself, failure feels like the end of the road. It feels like you've reached your limit and there's no way to recover, but failure is not the end, it's simply a lesson. Every time you fail, you learn. You learn what works, what doesn't, and what you need to do differently next time. But if you don't trust yourself, you'll see failure as proof that you're not good enough. You'll give up before you even try again, because you've already convinced yourself that you can't succeed. The moment you stopped trusting yourself, you stopped seeing failure as a stepping stone to success. You started seeing it as a reflection of your worth, when in reality, failure is just a part of the journey. It's time to recognize the truth. You can trust yourself again. You have the ability to make decisions, to take risks, and to learn from your mistakes. You don't need anyone else to tell you that you're capable. You've already proven it to yourself every time you faced adversity and kept going. The moment you stopped trusting yourself, you gave away your power, but now it's time to take it back. It's time to believe in your ability to make the right choices, to take risks, and to create the life you want. It's time to stop listening to the lies that tell you you're not enough, that you're not worthy, and that you can't trust yourself. You've always had the strength within you. Now it's time to remember it. Trusting yourself again is not about being perfect. It's about accepting yourself fully, flaws and all, and knowing that you are enough just as you are. It's about recognizing that you have the wisdom to navigate through life's challenges and the resilience to bounce back from setbacks. Trusting yourself again means letting go of the need for external validation and learning to rely on your own instincts. It means making decisions from a place of self-confidence, not self-doubt. It means forgiving yourself for your mistakes and using them as stepping stones to grow, rather than as proof of your inadequacy. So, the moment you stopped trusting yourself was the moment you believed a lie. And now, it's time to stop believing that lie. It's time to trust yourself again. You have everything you need within you to create the life you want. You just have to remember that, you just have to trust it. Forgiveness is how you clear the path back to yourself. There's a misconception that forgiveness is something you do for others, that it's a gift you give to someone else to absolve them of their wrongdoings. But in reality, forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. It is the key that unlocks the door to healing, growth, and peace. It's not about letting someone else off the hook for their actions. It's about releasing the burden you've been carrying, the pain that has weighed you down, and the bitterness that has consumed your heart. When someone hurts you, it's easy to hold on to the pain. It's natural to feel angry, betrayed, or upset. These emotions are valid, and it's okay to feel them. But if you hold on to that pain, if you let it fester inside of you, it begins to eat away at you. It clouds your judgment, affects your relationships, and keeps you stuck in the past. Holding on to hurt only prolongs your suffering, and in the process, it steals your peace. It's like carrying a heavy rock in your heart, weighing you down with each passing day. Forgiveness is the act of putting down that rock, of releasing the hold that anger and resentment have on your life. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It doesn't mean pretending that the hurt never occurred. Forgiveness is not about condoning the actions of others or excusing their behavior. It's about choosing to let go of the emotional grip they have on you